I need you to picture something. A girl alone in the rain. Her lip is bleeding. Her hands won't stop shaking. And a man in a black suit is kneeling down in front of her, asking just 5 words. Tell me who did this. Now pause, because the moment she speaks, men will die. Not hours from now, not tomorrow, but before the sun rises. This city will learn what it means to touch something that belongs to him. But here's the twist. She doesn't even know his name. Not yet. And he's been watching her for months. From the shadows. Waiting. Not because he's a monster, but because someone broke the one thing he never dared to touch. Her name is Elena Márquez. She's not rich. Not powerful. She works nights at a diner that smells like old coffee and burnt toast. Takes the same 3 blocks home. Every single night. And someone used that routine to send a message. Not to her. To him. Luca De Rossi. The man the underworld calls the devil in a suit. And tonight, he's going to show the world exactly why. You might be thinking, why her? Why did this man, who could have anyone, burn down the city for a girl with scraped knees and tired eyes? Well, it starts with the rain, and a street light, and the second he saw her face, that's when everything changed. Let me take you back to where it all began. Hi, my amazing friends and family. Welcome back to another story for today. If you are ready to enjoy this heartwarming story, smash the subscribe button and comment where you're watching from. I love seeing all your names and places. Also, don't forget to check out more of our interesting videos on the channel. And guess what? Tomorrow, I have got an even more exciting story to share with you that I know you'll love. Now back to the story. The rain had a taste that night. Cold. Metallic. Like the sky was bleeding. Elena Márquez locked the diner door with fingers that didn't quite want to move. The keys jingled in her grip, slippery with sweat even in the chill. She was the last one out like always. That place never closed. But someone had to turn the lights down and take out the trash. That someone was always her. The neon sign behind her buzzed and flickered, painting her in pink and red. The kind of light that made even clean things look dirty. A soaked takeout bag clung to the curb beside her. Everything around her felt tired. She pulled her hoodie tight, lifted it over her dark, wet hair, and took a breath like it might be her last. 3 blocks. That's it. Just 3 blocks to the edge of her world. She could walk it blind. Her shoes squelched with each step. The water was ankle-deep in the gutters. It didn't matter. They were her only pair, and they'd been soaked since her shift started. The streets were mostly empty. The city always breathed differently after 2 a.m., like even the chaos needed sleep. She passed a shuttered florist, a dark bakery, and a bus stop with a cracked glass panel. Her reflection stared back. Brown eyes too big for her face, lips pale, hair stringy from the steam of the kitchen. Not a girl anyone would look at twice. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Home was waiting. Not much, but it was waiting. Apartment 3C. A tiny box filled with peeling paint, an old couch, and the soft, rattling breath of her mother down the hallway. That breath was her alarm clock. If it stopped, the world would stop too. Elena's hands slid into her pockets. She rubbed the crumpled $5 bill between her fingers. It wasn't enough. Not for rent, not for food, not for the prescriptions her mother needed but couldn't afford. But she'd stretch it. She always did. She thought about her brother, Mateo. No messages tonight. No check-ins. He disappeared sometimes, always chasing a fast dollar. Gambling or dealing or, worse, she never knew. Only that the moment the cops knocked on the door, it would be him. She told herself not to cry. Not in the rain. It would feel too poetic, and her life wasn't poetry. It was survival. She passed under the glow of a broken street lamp and something shifted. The air, the sound, the feeling in her bones. That quiet, it wasn't normal. It was the kind of silence that made you stop breathing. Elena slowed. Her shoes splashed through a shallow puddle. Her fingers clenched tighter inside her pockets. 1 block left. She turned the corner. And that's when she saw them. 2 figures, standing at the mouth of an alley. Not moving, not talking, just waiting. Her breath caught. No, keep walking. Eyes down, like always. But her legs didn't listen. They stepped forward. She tried to step around them, fast and quiet. One of them moved in front of her. The other slid behind her. The trap closed. "Hey there," said the first one. He smiled with teeth that didn't belong in a smile. Elena's heart slammed against her chest. Her throat dried in an instant. "I'm just trying to get home," she whispered. "I know," the man said, "but we've got a message that needs delivering." "I don't know you," she said, stepping back. "You don't have to," said the man behind her. His voice was deeper, thick with something heavy. She tried to scream, but the rain swallowed the sound. The fist came fast. Pain bloomed across her cheek like a firecracker under her skin. She hit the ground hard. Water soaked through her jeans. Her elbows scraped against wet concrete. "Don't fight," the first one whispered as he crouched beside her. "Just listen." Elena gasped. Her lungs burned. Her vision blurred. "You tell De Rossi," he said, gripping her face. His fingers smelled like cigarettes and sweat. "We're done waiting." She blinked. "Who?" "Don't play stupid." Another punch, this time to her ribs. Elena folded. The breath left her body. The world tilted sideways. "You tell him this city's not his anymore." Please," she choked. They laughed. She stopped feeling her legs. Cold spread from the inside out. One of them kicked her side. The other took something from her pocket, her phone. Maybe. She didn't care. She couldn't move. Then, footsteps retreating. Laughter vanishing into the downpour. And she was alone. She didn't know how long she stayed there. The rain kept coming. The world spun. Her vision came back in pieces. Lights, water, blood on her sleeve. Her legs worked again. Barely. She pushed herself upright. Her hand touched the brick wall beside her, slippery and cold. She staggered toward the street, blinking hard. The lights of the city blurred like watercolors. Headlights flared in the distance. A black car slowed. Its tires hissed against the wet street. It stopped. The window rolled down, and a voice called her name. "Elena!" She froze. The passenger door opened. A man stepped out. Tall. Dark hair slicked back. Suit soaked in rain. Face carved from stone and shadow. He moved toward her like he already knew she'd be there. She didn't recognize him. But he looked at her like he'd known her forever. "Elena," he said again, this time softer. She swayed. He stepped closer. His hands rose. One cupped her face. His fingers brushed her bruised cheek. She flinched. His eyes dropped to the blood on her collar. "Tell me," he said, "who did this to you?" She tried to speak. Her lips shook. I don't know." His jaw tightened. "Elena, look at me." She did. He studied her face like every bruise was a map, like every cut had a name. And then he whispered something that didn't sound like rage. Sounded like war. "Then I'll find every man who could have, and make them beg to confess." She didn't answer. Couldn't. He took off his jacket, draped it over her shoulders. She expected him to call an ambulance. He didn't. He carried her, lifted her into his arms like she weighed nothing. His scent wrapped around her. Expensive cologne and something darker, smoke, maybe, or danger. The door of the car swung open. Warmth inside. Leather seats. A driver who said nothing. Elena didn't speak again. She pressed her face into his chest, her body trembling. Somewhere deep in her brain, the name clicked. Luca De Rossi. The man they'd whispered about. The man they'd warned. The man she'd just been turned into a weapon against. The man now holding her like something precious. Outside, the city kept raining. Inside the car, everything was still. Until he whispered once more. "Don't worry, Elena. You're mine now." The city blurred past the windows, all shadows and golden lights swallowed by rain. Inside the car, the silence was thick, like a held breath. Elena was curled beside him, her small frame lost in his jacket. Her cheek rested against his chest, the bruise on her jaw darkening by the second. Luca De Rossi had seen broken things before, but not like this, not her. He watched her eyelids flutter. She wasn't asleep, just drifting in and out, somewhere between pain and fear. Her hand was fisted around the lapel of his jacket like she didn't trust it to stay on her shoulders. Like warmth was something she wasn't used to keeping. Luca looked away for the first time in 20 minutes. Rain slid down the car window in slow streams. The city kept moving. But inside, everything was frozen. He had killed for less, much less. He had noticed her 3 months ago. Noticed wasn't even the right word. He had seen her. She worked at Ollie's, that rundown all-night diner on East 51st, 2 blocks from the old docks. He used to meet people there. Quiet business, hush money drops. Soft threats exchanged with sweet coffee and cheap hash browns. But that night, she had refilled his cup without looking at him. Not once. No fear. No curiosity. No recognition. Just a small tired voice. "Let me know if you need anything else." Then she turned. Moved to the next table. Her apron was stained with something red. Her ponytail was slipping. She didn't even bother fixing it. And that was it. She didn't smile. She didn't try to be liked. She didn't flinch. And he could not stop looking at her. From then on, he came back. Same booth. Same time. Same silence. She always wore the same shoes. Cracked white soles. Torn laces. She never ate. Never drank anything herself. Just moved like a ghost. She was the quietest person he had ever seen. She didn't know she was being watched. Protected, even. He had a man tail her each night. Not for fun. Not obsession. First it was curiosity. Then it turned into something else. Something dangerous. The car turned into the private gate of his estate. The driver did not speak. Elena stirred as the wheels crunched wet gravel. Her eyes fluttered open. The fear came first. Then confusion. Her head turned, slowly, like it was too heavy. Her voice was soft, broken. "Where are we?" Luca looked down at her. His voice dropped low. "You're safe." She blinked hard, tried to sit up. He didn't stop her. Her hand shook as she looked around the interior of the car. Leather, glass, gold trim. It didn't make sense to her. "Is this a hospital?" "No." Her lips parted. He could see the panic rising. "I need to go home," she said quickly, voice thin. "My mom. She needs... I have to check." "You will," he said, calm as ice. "In the morning, after you've healed." She froze. "You don't even know me." Luca leaned closer. His words brushed the space between them. "I know enough." When the car stopped, his men opened the door. She didn't move. He stepped out first. Offered her his hand. The rain was still falling, but the wind was gone. It felt quieter here, like the city didn't exist beyond the walls. She stared at his hand. She didn't take it, but she followed. That was enough. The mansion was made of black stone and gold light. Warm from the inside, cold as sin from the outside. Elena was dripping, shivering, silent. Two women met them at the entrance. Staff. Trained. Quick. Gentle. He gave a single nod. Upstairs. West wing. Clean linens. Dry clothes. No questions. They nodded. Elena's eyes flicked to them, then to him. Her lips trembled. He almost said something soft, but the blood on her cheek kept his mouth shut. 15 minutes later, she was in a guest room wrapped in a thick white towel. The doctor came. Gray hair. No nonsense tone. She's bruised on the ribs and face. No broken bones. One shallow cut near the eyebrow. I stitched it. She'll need rest. Luca sat in the chair across the room, watching. He didn't speak the whole time, just stared at her hands, the way they clutched the blanket like it might disappear. He waited until the doctor left, and then he stood. She turned to him slowly. Her eyes were glossy, wet from more than the shower. Her hair was clean now, falling past her shoulders in soft waves. But she looked even smaller than before. He walked toward the chair at her bedside, sat down. Leaning forward, he rested his forearms on his knees and looked up at her with calm, dark eyes. "Elena," he said quietly. She looked down. "I need you to tell me something." She shook her head. "I can't." "Yes, you can." Her breath hitched. "I don't know who they were." He didn't blink. "Tell me what they said." She looked away, but the memory made her lips move. "They told me to tell you something." "What?" She paused. "That they're done waiting." He leaned back slowly. A crack of something sharp moved through his jaw. "They said your name," she added. Luca's eyes sharpened. "They knew where I worked," she whispered. "Where I walked. What time I leave." He nodded once. "They were sending a message." "To you?" "Yes." "Why me?" That was the question. He stood, paced the room once, then stopped by the window. He didn't look at her when he answered. "Because they thought I wouldn't care." Elena's breath caught. "But I do." Silence. Then she whispered, "Why?" He turned to her, walked back slowly, and then he knelt, right in front of her. She flinched just slightly, but he didn't move closer. "Because I've watched you. Because you are quiet and kind and strong in ways most people aren't." She stared at him. A single tear slipped down her cheek. "I'm nobody," she whispered. "You were," he said. "But not anymore." He stood. His hands slipped into his pockets. "Try to sleep." "I can't." He nodded. "There's tea on the table. Chamomile. They brought it for you." She didn't respond. He moved toward the door. His voice was low like a promise. "If you remember anything else, a sound, a smell, one word." He looked over his shoulder. "You tell me." He left the room. She didn't sleep. Not for a long, long time. Outside, Luca walked down the marble hallway, past security cameras and silent guards. His eyes were darker than usual. By the time he reached his office, a man was already waiting. Tall, sharp, dressed in black. "Find out who was near the diner tonight," Luca said. "I want cameras. I want witnesses. I want shadows." "Yes, sir." "And when you find them," he poured himself a drink. Didn't sip. "Do not kill them." The man hesitated. "I want them breathing and begging." The doors to Luca's office clicked shut behind him. Silence followed. Thick, heavy. He didn't like noise when he was thinking. He stared at the crystal glass in his hand. Amber liquid, still untouched. He wasn't drinking tonight. Tonight was for something else. Across the room stood Nicolo. Tall, broad. His right hand for 7 years. Killer, driver, bodyguard, cleaner. A man who knew how to make things disappear. Nicolo waited. Quiet. No questions. No fidgeting. Luca liked that about him. She remembered something, Luca finally said. Nicolo didn't blink. What? They told her to say my name. Told her they were done waiting. Cartel? Maybe. But they didn't kill her. No. They wanted her found. They wanted me to see. Nicolo shifted. That's a message. Luca nodded. In blood. The city began to shift before the sun even touched the rooftops. Calls were made. Money changed hands. Eyes were peeled open. Word moved fast in the underworld. Faster than police. Faster than sirens. By noon, every small crew, every loan shark, every drug runner, every man who worked in Luca's territory knew the rumor. Someone touched De Rossi's girl. And she lived. And he knew. And he was coming. Elena didn't understand what was happening at first. She woke up wrapped in silk sheets, sunlight slipping through tall glass windows. The room smelled like lemon soap and chamomile. Too clean, too quiet, felt wrong. She sat up slowly. Her body ached everywhere. Purple shadows under her eyes. A small bandage over her brow. The glass of tea still sat untouched on the table. She wasn't home. This wasn't her life. A soft knock broke the stillness. Before she could speak, the door opened. A woman stepped in. Black clothes. Sharp bun. No smile. Breakfast is ready. Elena's voice cracked. Where am I? The woman answered flatly. Safe. Downstairs, the mansion pulsed like something alive. Men in suits moved through the halls. Silent. Armed. Nobody looked at her directly. But they were watching. She could feel it. She sat at a long table she didn't belong at, staring at food she couldn't eat. Pancakes. Eggs. Toast with butter that melted too perfectly. She picked up a fork. Her hand trembled. She set it down. Then she heard the voice. Deeper than before. Smoother. From behind. Eat something. She turned. Luca stood in the doorway. Black shirt. No tie. Rolled sleeves. Eyes like stone. She swallowed. I'm not hungry. He walked in. Sat beside her. Not across. Beside. You need strength. I need to go home. He tilted his head. Soon. I don't even know you. He gave a slow half-smile. It didn't reach his eyes. You will. Across the city, in a rusted auto shop that never fixed any real cars, a man was sweating through his suit. Luca stood in front of him. Nicolo beside him. The man stuttered. I didn't know she was important. Luca leaned forward. Who told you her name? I swear. I didn't know it was your girl. I swear on my life. Your life means nothing to me. I didn't touch her. I just passed the time she left work. That's all I did. And who did you pass it to? The man didn't speak. Nicolo took a step forward. Bones cracked under his fist. The man screamed. Luca didn't blink. When the man started begging, Luca raised a finger. Quiet returned. Say the name, Luca said calmly. Calderon. It was Calderon. They paid us. Said she worked in your district. Said it would get your attention. Luca nodded once. Then he turned and walked out. Back at the mansion, Elena sat in the sunroom. She hadn't touched the tea. She had counted the guards outside the window. One at each corner. They moved like ghosts, eyes always scanning, hands always close to their belts. She didn't understand this world, but she was inside it now. She stood, walked to the glass, touched it. One of the guards looked up, met her gaze, gave a small nod. Not kind, not warm, just a message. You are being watched. She stepped back. Her breath hitched. She felt trapped. But deep down, under the fear, something else was growing. Something dangerous. Power. That evening, Luca gathered his top men in the study. 12 of them, all loyal, all lethal. The fireplace glowed behind him. He spoke slow, clear. They knew her route. Nobody answered. They knew what time she left work. No one moved. She was not random. Still silence. He turned, faced them all. I want names. I want streets. I want the rats who let Calderon step into my territory. One man cleared his throat. Sir, Calderon hasn't made a move in almost a year. They just did. But hurting a civilian? That's reckless, even for them. Luca's voice turned to ice. She is not a civilian. The room went still. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. The room was quiet, but her head was not. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the door. The silk robe clung to her shoulders. Her legs dangled above the carpet. Then she heard footsteps. She turned. Luca stood in the doorway. No jacket, no guards, just him. You should be resting, he said. I can't. He stepped in. The door shut behind him. She didn't look away. I don't understand any of this. I know. You're not normal. No. She swallowed. Am I a prisoner? No. Then why do I feel like one? Luca walked to the chair across from her. Sat down. Hands on his knees. You're not here because I need you to be. You're here because the world outside is trying to hurt you. I don't even know what they want. They want leverage. They want fear. They want to see if I bleed. Her voice cracked. Do you? His lips twitched. Not a smile. Something darker. They're about to find out. Across the city, in the deepest corner of the Calderon district, fires burned in metal drums. Men smoked cheap cigars. Guns lay on tables. Then came the message. A man in a black mask walked into the warehouse and dropped a cardboard box on the ground. Nobody moved. Inside the box were photos. Printed. Full color. Elena's bruised face. The alley. The blood. And a single red card with Luca's seal. No words. Just the mark. The message was clear. War was coming. Back at the mansion, Luca stood at the window of his office, looking out at the darkness. Niccolò came in. Quiet. Unannounced. Luca didn't turn. They know, he said. Niccolò nodded. What's the move? Luca poured himself a drink. Finally, he sipped it, then whispered, bleed them slow. The mansion breathed like a sleeping giant. Walls tall as secrets. Floors too quiet. Lights soft and golden like honey spilled in the dark. Elena walked barefoot down the hallway. Her bruises still ached. But something deeper had started to settle. The fear was changing, shifting into something else. Curiosity. She could hear her own heartbeat. Every step was careful. She wasn't sure if she was allowed to wander. But nobody stopped her. She passed a room filled with books. Another lined with paintings that looked older than the country. A door slightly open led to a garden lit by moonlight. Marble statues dripped with rain. The air smelled like jasmine and old stone. This place wasn't just big. It was unreal. She turned a corner. Stopped. A crack of light spilled from beneath a door. She moved closer. Paused. Faint music. Low. Sad. Piano piece, slow like falling water. She raised her hand. Tapped gently on the door. No answer. She opened it anyway. Luca sat alone in a leather chair. A record spun behind him. His sleeves were rolled. The top button of his black shirt undone. A glass of something dark in his hand. He didn't look surprised to see her. Couldn't sleep? He asked without turning. She stepped in. Is it always this quiet here? He smiled faintly. Only when I let it be. She came further in. The room smelled like tobacco and firewood. The walls were covered in books and old portraits. She noticed a chessboard on a table half played, the pieces frozen mid-battle. Luca sipped his drink. You found the heart of the house. Elena stopped by the window, looked out at the dark garden. I don't think I was meant to. You were, he said. She turned. Why? He finally looked at her. And in that look, she saw something she hadn't seen before. Guilt. She sat across from him in a velvet chair, pulled her knees up, wrapped her arms around them. You knew my name, she said softly. Back in the rain. You said it like you already knew me. He didn't answer right away. The record hissed behind him, the song fading into silence. I did, he said. She blinked. How? I go to Ollie's. She frowned. The diner. He nodded. She searched her memory. When? Midnights. Corner booth. Far left. Her mouth parted. I never saw you. I saw you. Flashback. The diner. Neon pink lights. Plates clinking. Grease on the windows. Elena moves from table to table, refilling coffee, clearing plates. She walks past a booth in the corner. A man in shadow. Black coat. Silent. Coffee untouched. Her voice tired. Need anything else? He shakes his head once. She walks away. He watches her go. Elena sat back in her chair. You were there every night? Most. Why? He tilted his glass. The ice clinked. You reminded me of something. What? He didn't say. Instead, he stood, walked to the fireplace, poked the embers with an iron rod, then said quietly, Someone I lost. Elena watched his shoulders. Broad. Still. Carved from pressure. I'm sorry, she said. Luca looked at the fire. I used to be a boy once. Skinny. Angry. Wild. My mother used to clean offices at night. She'd leave at 7, come back past midnight. Still managed to kiss my forehead before school. Elena stayed quiet. One night, she didn't come home. What happened? He looked over his shoulder. She walked into the wrong alley. Wrong time. Wrong men. Elena's throat tightened. He turned back to the fire. They never found the bodies. Just her purse. I was 15. Silence wrapped around them. The fire popped. Rain tapped on the window. The house felt smaller. I'm sorry, Elena said again. Her voice trembled. Luca turned. Sat back down. He studied her. You remind me of her. Not your face. Your eyes. Your silence. The way you carry too much without asking for help. Elena lowered her gaze. He leaned forward, rested his elbows on his knees. I watched you pour coffee with cracked hands, smile at rude customers, walk home in the cold, always alone. She looked up. You were watching all that time, and you didn't say anything? I didn't want to scare you. You scared me anyway. I know. Their eyes locked. Something moved between them, quiet and slow. A thread. A pull. Elena's voice was small. Why me? Luca didn't answer with words. He reached out, picked up her hand, held it in his, just held it. His thumb brushed the side of her palm. She didn't pull away. You were invisible, he said softly. And I wanted to see you. Elena blinked. Her throat ached. No one's ever said that to me. They should have. The fire burned low. The night wrapped around the house like velvet. Luca leaned back, still holding her hand. You're safe here, he said. But I need you to know something. She looked at him. This piece, it's not permanent. Calderon started a game. I'm going to finish it. Elena's breath caught. You're going to kill them? He didn't blink. Only if they don't beg first. She should have been afraid. But she wasn't. She felt safe. and that scared her more than anything. Later, in her room, she sat at the window. Outside, the guards moved through the garden like shadows. She touched her cheek where his fingers had been. Her heart wouldn't stop shaking. Not from fear, from something else. Something she didn't want to name. Downstairs, in the corner booth of his memory, Luca closed his eyes. He could still see her wiping tables, her tired hands, the light on her skin. He could still taste the coffee she poured. Always a little too bitter. He never drank it. He wasn't there for the coffee. He was there for her. The night did not sleep. Clouds smothered the moon. Rain misted the windows, and the mansion felt like it was holding its breath. Elena curled under the blanket, trying to keep still, but her body refused to rest. Her bones hummed with nerves. Her mind replayed the alley, the fists, the rain, the voices. Every blink felt like falling back into that night. Then she heard it. A car. Gravel. Doors. Voices. Not loud. Not angry. Sharpened. Elena sat up. Her heart thudded fast. Heavy. Deep. Something was happening. Something bad. She slipped from the bed and padded toward the hallway. Her hand trembled around the doorknob. When she opened it, a guard was already standing there. Not surprised. Not startled. Almost like he expected her. "Miss Márquez," he said calmly. "The boss wants you downstairs." Her breath caught. "Why?" His face didn't move. "It is time." For a moment, she couldn't breathe. The walls felt too tall. The house too silent. But she nodded and followed him. The mansion's doors opened to the storm. Rain hit her face like cold needles. Wind curled her hair against her cheek. The sky was thick and black. Two black SUVs sat in the driveway. Engines running. Lights off. A man opened the back door of the first one. Heavy boots. Hard stare. He didn't say her name, but the gesture was clear. "Get in." Elena looked behind her, half expecting Luca to appear. Tell her she was too fragile, too hurt. But he wasn't there. She swallowed and stepped inside. The door shut. The engine growled. The vehicle moved. For 10 minutes, she stared out the window, watching the city blur. Wet streets. Neon lights dripping into puddles. Empty sidewalks shining like black glass. No one spoke. The guards sat like statues. Silent. Focused. Finally, the SUV turned into a warehouse district. Old metal walls. Graffiti. Broken windows. The car rolled into a fenced lot, through iron gates that opened without a sound. Another guard stepped out and opened her door. "This way," he said. Elena stepped into the rain. Cold swallowed her. Fear walked beside her. A large metal door was already open. Yellow light spilled out across the wet ground. Inside, the air smelled like rust and gasoline. Water dripped from the ceiling in slow, steady taps. And there they were, two men on their knees, hands tied behind their backs, faces beaten, swollen, blood on their lips and shirts. One shook. The other stared at the floor, breathing fast. Elena's knees weakened. Her throat closed. Those faces, those voices, those hands. Her heart slammed in her chest like a trapped animal. She didn't realize she had stopped moving until the guard beside her spoke softly. "It is them, yes?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her limbs felt numb. Her skin felt too tight. Every nerve in her body screamed to run. Then she heard footsteps behind her. Slow, controlled, heavy with purpose. She turned. Luca De Rossi walked into the light. Black coat, black gloves, rain still dripping from his hair. His eyes were calm, too calm. He didn't look at her first. He looked at the men, and they looked up at him. Terror flooded their faces like blood. "Please," one of them whispered. We didn't know. SSSH. Luca didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. It was enough. He stepped closer, boots echoing on the wet concrete. The men flinched. Elena watched him carefully. She had seen him angry. She had seen him cold. But this was something else. There was no emotion on his face. No rage. No fire. Just a quiet, carved stillness. A storm before lightning. He turned to her. Elena. Her name sounded different now. Softer. But sharper. He nodded once toward the men. Is it them? The question sliced through her. She tried to speak. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. He walked to her, stopped close enough to touch her, but didn't reach for her. It is all right, he said quietly. You are not there anymore. A tear escaped her eye. She hated that they saw it. She hated that they knew what they did to her. But Luca lifted his hand. His thumb brushed the tear gently. So gently, she felt her breath break. You are safe, he whispered. Look at them. They cannot touch you now. She lifted her eyes. Slowly, painfully. One of the men stared at her. Recognition flickered. He started shaking. She felt her voice claw its way out. Yes. The word trembled. But it came. It's them. Luca nodded once. That's simple. And something in the room changed. Air tightened. Heat rose. Even the guards seemed to stand straighter. Luca stepped closer to the men. His voice was made of ice and velvet. Which one touched her first? Neither answered. His head tilted a little. This is the part where you speak. Still silence. He lifted one gloved hand. The guard behind the first man grabbed him by the hair and yanked his head back. The man screamed. I did, he cried. I hit her first. Luca turned to the second. And you? The second man sobbed. I held her down. But I didn't want to. I swear I didn't want to. Luca's voice dropped low. You still did. He crouched in front of them, calm, composed, terrifying in his control. You laid your hands on a woman in my city. You touched someone innocent. He leaned closer. You hurt someone I care about. Both men shook their heads wildly. I'm sorry, one begged. I'm sorry, we didn't know. That, Luca interrupted, is the problem. He stood slowly, and the next words came like a death sentence. You will. He turned to his men. Make them talk. Make them scream. Make them regret breathing. He started walking away, but Elena's voice stopped him. Luca. He froze. She took a step forward. The warehouse seemed to hold its breath. Are you going to kill them? The question tasted like metal. Luca looked over his shoulder. His eyes burned like dark fire. No, he said quietly. Death is mercy. Then he walked away. Behind him, the guards moved. The first scream tore through the warehouse like a blade. The second followed. Elena flinched. The sound was raw, animal. Pain and terror twisted together. She covered her ears, but the screams crawled under her skin, shaking her from the inside out. Luca stopped, turned. He saw her trembling, saw the fear, the shaking hands, the wide eyes, and for a moment the monster vanished. He crossed the space between them fast and without hesitation. His hands cupped her face. His forehead rested against hers. You are not there, he whispered. You are with me, with someone who will never let them hurt you again. Her voice was barely breath. This is because of me. No, this is because of them. Another scream sliced the air. She winced. His thumb stroked her cheek. Elena, he whispered, calm as a knife. You can walk away. You never have to see this again. Her heart was beating too fast, too loud. She should run. She should leave. She should beg him to stop. but she didn't move. Her fingers curled around his jacket. And she whispered, "I'm not afraid of you." Something shifted in his eyes. A spark. Dark. Hungry. Protective. He leaned even closer. "You should be," he said softly. She shook her head. "No. The world scares me. You don't." His jaw tightened, and for the first time he closed his eyes. Like her words cracked something open. Another scream echoed. Louder. More desperate. Elena turned her face into his chest. He held her. Strong. Steady. Warm. She should have walked away. She should have called him a monster. Instead, her voice came small and broken against his shirt. "They hurt me." His arms tightened around her. "I know." They laughed. "I know." They thought no one would care. He lifted her chin with 2 fingers. "I care." Her breath shook. "They didn't break you," he said. "But I will break them." And at that moment she believed him. Completely. Hours passed before the screams stopped. The rain kept falling. The city never learned their names. No police cars came. No news trucks. No sirens. Because when Luca De Rossi handled something, it vanished from the world. The guards carried the men out. Silent. Efficient. No more sound except the rain hitting the metal roof. Luca walked Elena back to the SUV himself. He opened her door, held her hand as she climbed in. When he sat beside her, she whispered, "You are not like other men." He turned to her, eyes dark and steady. "No, I am worse." She looked straight at him and said without fear, "I don't care." His breath hitched, just slightly. Then the SUV pulled away, leaving behind a warehouse that would be scrubbed clean before dawn. Not a single drop of blood would be left. No one would ever know what happened there. But the city would feel it. Whispers would spread. Everyone would learn one thing. You do not touch what belongs to Luca De Rossi. Not if you want to live. Back at the mansion, Elena didn't go to her room. She followed him into the hall, still holding his jacket in her trembling hand. He turned, their faces inches apart. Neither spoke, not for a long time. Finally, she whispered, "Thank you." He looked at her like the words hurt. "You should not thank me for this." She stepped closer. "I'm thanking you because no one has ever cared that much." He didn't move away. He didn't breathe. The house was silent around them. Thunder rolled somewhere far away. Her voice softened. "I should be afraid of you. Yes. I should have run tonight. Yes. But I didn't." "No." Her fingertips brushed his chest. "Because when you look at me, I don't feel small." His chest rose with a deep breath. He lifted her chin again. "You are not small." Her heart flipped. "You are the first person who ever made me feel safe," she whispered. He closed his eyes like the words cut him open. "No," he murmured, voice rough. "You are safe because you are mine." He didn't kiss her. He didn't touch her again. He just whispered, "Go rest," and walked away, leaving her standing there, shaking, not from fear, from something far more dangerous. The house was quiet when Elena finally slipped back into her room. But quiet did not mean peaceful. Her mind was a storm. Her body was trembling. Not from fear. Not anymore. Something else had started to burn under her skin. Something she did not recognize. She washed her face, changed into one of the soft shirts the staff had left for her. The fabric smelled like lavender and warm cotton, too gentle for how she felt inside. She crawled into the bed, but sleep refused to come. Her thoughts circled like wolves. Why would a man like Luca do this for her? Why risk everything? Why care? Her chest ached with a question she was almost afraid to ask. Why her? Morning came slowly. The rain stopped. Sunlight stretched across the marble floors like golden silk. The world looked soft, almost new. Elena stood by the window watching droplets slide down the glass. Her fingers played with the edge of the curtain. A gentle knock broke the silence. She opened the door. A young woman from the staff stood there. Soft eyes, smooth voice. "Mr. De Rossi has asked for you downstairs." A spark of fear flickered, but not the same kind as before. This one came from something warmer, more dangerous. She nodded and followed. The mansion hallway looked different in daylight. Less like a fortress and more like a home built from quiet riches and old secrets. Paintings lined the walls. Sunlight danced across the polished floor. Every guard lifted their gaze when she passed. Not hostile, not curious, protective. The dining room door was open. Luca sat at the table, drinking coffee that steamed in the morning light. His suit was dark, his hair slicked back, his expression calm. He looked up, and for a moment the world stilled. She hesitated by the doorway. He motioned with his fingers. A small gesture, gentle but powerful. "Come sit." She moved slowly, like her legs did not know what they were doing, and took the seat beside him. Not across. Beside. A plate of warm food sat waiting for her. Eggs, toast, strawberries. Everything looked too perfect. She did not touch it. His voice was quiet. "Eat, Elena. I am not hungry. Try." She picked up a fork. Her hand shook. She forced a bite. Swallowed. He watched her. Not with hunger. Not with control. With something that looked like worry. She set the fork down. "Why are you doing this?" Luca placed his cup on the table. His eyes never left her. "You asked me that last night. And you did not answer." His jaw tightened. "You matter." Her breath caught. Her fingers curled against her knees. "No one has ever said that to me. They should have. It does not make sense." "It makes perfect sense." Her heart beat faster, sharp and uneven. "Why me?" she whispered. He leaned back, studying her like she was something fragile and precious. "I want you to understand something. I did not notice you because of your face. Not your hair. Not your body." Her eyes lifted. "I noticed you because of the way you survive." Elena blinked. "Survive?" "Yes. You clean tables with bruised hands. You walk in the cold with no coat. You work 2 shifts and smile at customers who do not deserve you. You carry too much and never complain." Her throat tightened. "How do you know all that?" Luca took a slow breath. "I know everything." The words chilled her. He continued, "I know you have 3 jobs. I know your mother cannot breathe without medicine. I know your brother owes money to men who would break his legs for fun. I know you pay every bill with tips and coins. I know you sleep 4 hours a night." Elena covered her mouth with her hand as tears pooled in her eyes. You found all of that out?" "Yes." "Why?" His voice softened to something almost human. "Because I could not stop thinking about you." Elena shook her head, overwhelmed. "No one notices me. I am invisible." Luca leaned forward. His eyes locked on hers. "You are not invisible. Not to me." A tear slid down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly, embarrassed. "You should not care," she whispered. "There is nothing special about me." He whispered back, "There is everything special about you." Her breath shook. She looked away, but he reached out and took her hand. His touch was warm and careful. "You are safe now. I will take care of your mother. The hospital, the medicine, everything she needs. I will handle it." Elena stared at him like he had just shifted the earth beneath her. "You cannot do that." "I already have." Her lips parted. No sound came out. He squeezed her hand gently. You do not have to carry your life alone anymore. The room felt soft and heavy. The world felt too quiet. Her voice came raw. You do not even know me. I know you better than anyone. No, you do not. He tilted his head. Then tell me. Tell me what I do not know. Elena breathed in slowly. Her voice came like glass breaking. I am tired. I am angry. I am scared every day. I pretend to be strong because I have no choice. My life is not beautiful. It is not gentle. I am drowning. He listened with stillness carved from stone. No one has ever helped me, she said. Not once. You are not alone anymore, he said. His tone felt like a vow. She should have been comforted. But something deeper twisted inside her. What do you want from me? Nothing. That is not true. His eyes softened. Look at me. She did. I do not want your body. I do not want your fear. I do not want your debt. I want you to be safe. That is all. Her heart cracked open. Why? Luca reached up. Slowly, gently. His fingertips touched her cheek, tracing where the bruise was fading. Because you matter. Her breath trembled. Her lips parted. For a moment, their faces were close. Very close. Her eyes dropped to his lips. He leaned in. The world tilted. Their breath mixed. But at the last second, she pulled away. Luca froze. She shook her head, voice trembling. I cannot. I do not know who I am anymore. I feel like I am breaking. He stood, slow and unthreatening. I would never touch you without your choice. Her eyes filled with tears again. He brought her a tissue, set it gently in her hand. You have control here, he said. Not me. She looked at him like he was speaking a language she had never heard. Control was something she had never owned. Not in her life. Not in her body. Not in her choices. He stepped back, then turned and walked away, leaving her with more questions than answers. But while Elena sat in the quiet of the dining room, something else unfolded in the shadows of the mansion. On the second floor, near a hallway lined with expensive art, a man in a dark suit leaned against the wall. He pretended to check his watch. He pretended to stretch. He pretended to yawn. But his eyes flickered to his phone. A message glowed on the screen. She is here. West Wing bedroom. De Rossi's men guard the doors. He hit send. Deleted the message. Slipped the phone back into his pocket. His heartbeat raced, but his face never changed. Nobody noticed. Nobody suspected. Not yet. Later, Elena stepped outside onto the balcony that overlooked the garden. The air was warm. The sky glowed with soft gold as the sun sank, painting the world in a gentle fire. She leaned on the railing, closed her eyes, let the breeze brush her face. She could feel the guards watching, but they did not come close. This world was new, scary, heavy, but safe. Too safe. Her mind was a tangle of emotions she had no name for. At first Luca was a stranger, then a shadow, then a savior, now something else, something dangerous, something impossible. Her chest tightened. Why her? Why would a man like him touch her hand so softly? Why would a monster protect a broken girl? Footsteps approached. Slow. Familiar. She opened her eyes. Luca stood beside her, hands in his pockets, watching the sunset with her. No guards, she said softly. They know I am here. Are you always like this? Like what? In control. He breathed out a soft laugh. No, not always. When are you not? His eyes turned to her. When I am looking at you. Her heart stumbled. She stepped back, unable to hold his stare. Do you want me to be afraid of you? No. Then what do you want? You. Her breath vanished. He saw the fear, the confusion, the trembling hope. He took a small step closer. "Not your body," he said. "Not your debt. I want your trust. And I will earn it." Her voice broke. "I am not used to someone wanting me." He reached out and took her hand again. "You will learn." She looked at their hands. How his swallowed hers. She felt safe. Too safe. "If I stay here," she whispered, "I will not recognize myself." He leaned in, not touching her, just close enough to melt her bones. Good, because he did not want the girl who was afraid of the world. He wanted the girl who survived it. Inside the mansion, the traitor slipped into a quiet room and dialed a hidden number. A voice answered, deep, cold. "Is she there?" "Yes." "Good. Keep watching." The man swallowed, glancing toward the hallway. "What do you want me to do when the time comes?" The voice replied with absolute certainty. "Open the doors." The line went dead. The man exhaled. Outside, in the garden, Elena leaned into Luca's warmth without realizing it. He turned his face toward hers. Closer, and for a heartbeat, she thought he might kiss her again. She even wanted it. Just a little. But her fear returned. Sharp, sudden. She stepped back. "I need time." He nodded. "You can have the rest of your life." Her chest burned. Her throat tightened. He always said things like that. Soft words. Sharp meanings. The kind of sentences that wrapped around her ribs and refused to let go. She stepped toward the doorway, but turned back once more. "Luca." He waited. "Thank you." He nodded. His voice came quiet and deep. "I told them you matter." Her heart shattered and stitched itself together in the same moment. She walked back into the house. He stayed on the balcony, staring at the sky as if he was planning something the sun should fear. Her mind spun. Her body shook. She should run. But she stayed. Because something inside her, something small and bright and dangerous, whispered that he was right. She mattered. And she had never mattered to anyone before. The night returned, and with it, a silence too sharp to be trusted. Elena sat by her bedroom window, her legs folded under her, a mug of untouched tea cooling in her palms. Outside, the sky was dark and low, pressing against the glass like a secret begging to be spoken. The mansion glowed golden in places, but it felt different now. Like something was watching. She hadn't seen Luca since that moment on the balcony. He had disappeared into the house's deeper halls, speaking in whispers to his men, moving like a man who felt something crawling closer. And he was right, because just past midnight, the walls trembled. It was small, a soft thud, then another, barely a breath against the size of the house. But it wasn't thunder. And it wasn't nothing. The third sound was louder, crack, sharp and real. Then a voice, low, in her ear. "Miss Márquez, you need to come with me." A guard stood at her door, calm but urgent, his eyes sharp. "What's happening?" "Move quickly, please." He didn't shout. He didn't panic. But his hand rested on the gun at his hip. That was enough. Elena stood. The hallway outside was alive now. Quiet footsteps, silent radios. Every guard had that same look. Focused, deadly, alert. They were not surprised. They were ready. Luca stood in the main hallway, his phone to his ear, one hand behind his back. He looked like a statue carved from control. His voice was low, dangerous. "Yes, I want every camera checked. Every door. I want to know how they knew." He turned, eyes meeting Elena's as she approached with her escort. She froze. Something in his face told her everything. Something had happened, and it was not over yet. Luca clicked his phone off and slipped it into his pocket. His hand reached out to her without words. She took it. His palm was warm, steady. He looked at the guard. Upstairs. West Wing. Yes, sir. Then his eyes came back to her. You stay with me. She nodded. They climbed the stairs together, moving fast, but not running. Running was for prey. Luca was never prey. The control room smelled like electricity and tension. A dozen screens lit the dark. Guards moved between them like shadows, their eyes scanning for something they hadn't found yet. Luca stood in the center. The men stepped back to give him space. He pointed at a screen. Show me the north fence. 10 minutes ago. A guard rewound the footage. Elena watched over Luca's shoulder. Black and white shapes flickered on the screen. Then movement. 2 figures. Crawling through the trees. Fast. Low. Armed. They reached the fence. Cut through it. Slipped inside. Seconds later, they were gone into the dark. 2 got in? Luca asked. The guard nodded. Only 2. We got them both. But it was a message, Luca finished for him. The guard's silence was confirmation. Elena stepped closer. What does that mean? Luca turned to her. His eyes burned. It means they were never trying to win. They wanted you to know they could get close. He nodded once. She wrapped her arms around herself. And they knew exactly where to come. That changed him. His jaw locked. His eyes sharpened. He turned slowly back to the screen. Who knew she was in the West Wing? Silence. No one answered. Luca's voice lowered. I said, who knew? The room filled with names. Whispered. Listed. Counted. Every guard. Every staff member. Every person who had clearance. Luca listened, then pointed at 2 of the names. Pull them. Quietly. I want answers before sunrise. 2 guards disappeared into the hallway without a sound. Elena's chest tightened. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was blood. Betrayal. War. He took her back to the sitting room, closed the door, lit the fireplace with a single match. The fire flickered like it was afraid to speak. She stood near the flames, arms crossed. Someone in your house gave them my location, she said softly. Yes. He didn't try to soften it. Because of me. Luca turned. His voice was razor sharp. No. She stepped toward him. They got in because I am here. No. You are in danger because I am here. He moved fast. Not threatening. Just there in front of her. He took her face in both hands. You do not get to take blame that does not belong to you. They were after you, not me. They went through you to get to me. That is not your fault. She looked up at him. Tears threatened, but she bit them back. I should leave. His eyes darkened. No. I should go far away. I'll disappear. It's the only way to keep you safe. No. His hands dropped, but his voice stayed low. You do not walk away from me. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need your protection. Her voice cracked. Then what do you need? He stepped closer. You. She looked away. This isn't right. You're risking everything. For me. I know exactly what I'm risking. I can't be the reason you get killed. He touched her cheek. You are not the reason. You are the line. She blinked. The line. The one they crossed. He leaned closer. Everything after this is because of that choice. Elena whispered. What if you die? Luca's voice was calm, chilling. Then I will die protecting what is mine. Her breath caught. You don't mean that. He stepped back, looked her in the eyes. I do. Guards moved all night. Every inch of the house was checked, swept, cleansed. 2 staff members vanished before breakfast. No one spoke their names. By morning, the West Wing was under double lock. Elena was moved to a room beside Luca's. Not by request, by order. She didn't argue, because part of her didn't want to leave. and the other part was too scared to be alone. At sunrise, Luca stood on the roof of the mansion, staring out at the city. His hands were behind his back, his suit crisp, his expression cold. Rain had returned, but softly now, like it was waiting. He didn't speak until he felt her behind him. "You don't sleep," she said quietly. "I will, when this is done." She stood beside him. Below them, the world looked peaceful. It was a lie. She whispered, "What are you going to do?" He didn't answer, but the silence told her everything. War had come to the gates, and now Luca De Rossi would open them. Back inside, a new guard replaced the one at Elena's door. Young, too young, nervous eyes. Luca noticed. "Where's Tomas?" "Sick, sir." Luca's face didn't change, but his eyes narrowed. He stepped closer to the guard, looked him up and down, then whispered something only the boy could hear. The guard nodded. Too fast, too eager. Luca said nothing, just turned and walked away. But something in his face had changed. He had smelled the rot, and now he would dig it out. Later that day, Elena stood at the edge of the garden. A rose bloomed in her hand. She held it gently, as if it would bleed. She heard his voice before she turned. "There is a traitor inside my house." She looked at him. Luca stood a few feet away, his hands in his pockets, his jaw tight. "I will find them," he said, "and I will burn them from the root." She swallowed. "You think it's someone close to you?" "It always is." Her hand curled around the rose. "Will it stop?" "No." Her eyes closed. "Then I should leave." He stepped forward, took the rose from her hand, set it down, then touched her face. "You don't leave what's mine." She trembled. "I'm scared." He nodded. "So am I." That was the first time he admitted it, and somehow that made it real. She leaned into his chest. He wrapped his arms around her, and together, they stood in the garden while the sky darkened again. Because even inside a fortress, the storm always finds a way in. The sky turned copper as the sun sank behind the city, and for a moment, the mansion glowed like a cathedral made of secrets. But inside the walls, something darker was unraveling. Luca stood in the war room. Every screen glowed. Maps, reports, names. He said nothing for a long time. His men waited, silent and stiff, afraid to breathe wrong. Then Luca turned to a folder sitting alone on the long oak table. His fingers tapped once, then opened it. Inside was a photo. The traitor. His name was Davide Moro, one of Luca's oldest men. A man who had stood beside him when bullets flew. A man who had held Luca's coat the night his father was buried. A man who had once sworn on his life to protect the house they built. He sold Elena's location to Calderon. He took money for her blood, and now that blood would cost him everything. Luca didn't call for guards. He didn't whisper for a quiet fix. He walked down the hall, boots steady on the marble, coat brushing behind him like a ghost. He walked into the east wing where the senior men stayed, walked right up to Davide's door, and knocked 3 times. Hard. The door opened slow. Davide appeared in the frame, a glass in one hand. He froze when he saw who it was. Luca didn't speak. Davide's face cracked. "Boss!" Luca hit him. 1 punch. Clean. The glass dropped and shattered. Davide staggered back, blood running from his nose. "Boss, please. What's happening?" Another hit. Then 2 guards grabbed him, dragged him into the hallway. Davide screamed. More men appeared. Senior guards, soldiers, staff. Everyone saw. Everyone heard. Luca walked calmly into the center of the hall. The guards dropped Davide to his knees. "Tell them," Luca said. Davide shook his head, tears already on his cheeks. Please, tell them what you did. I didn't. Luca's voice turned lethal. Tell them, or I will make them find out another way. Davide's eyes darted. Wild, broken. He looked at the faces around him. Faces he used to lead. Faces that now looked at him like he was poison. I didn't mean to hurt her, he sobbed. I just owed. Calderon paid. It was just a location. I didn't know they'd actually get inside. Luca nodded. That was enough. He turned to his men. Strip him of his rank. 2 guards moved. Fast. Davide screamed as they tore the patch from his jacket. Ripped the chain from his neck. Luca stared down at him. You sold my house. I was desperate. You sold her. I didn't know they'd touch her. They didn't touch her, Luca said. They touched me. The silence that followed was thick as oil. Luca leaned in and whispered the sentence that sealed Davide's fate. You bled the wrong girl. Then he stood, straightened his sleeves, and said only one word. Do it. The guards dragged Davide away. His screams echoed down the hall. No one looked away. No one stopped it. Not even Elena. She was there, watching. No blindfold this time. No lies. Just truth. Ugly. Brutal. Cold. Later, the house was still again, like it had swallowed the violence and gone back to sleep. Elena sat in the garden, knees pulled to her chest, heart too loud in her ears. Luca stood nearby, hands behind his back, watching her. He waited. She didn't speak. He waited longer. Finally, she said it. I saw you. He nodded. I needed you to. She looked down. I thought you were a monster before. He stepped closer. And now, I think you're something worse. He took the insult, swallowed it, owned it. Then she whispered the one thing that hurt more than anything else. I can't be your weakness. Luca froze. Her eyes lifted. I can't be the reason your walls fall. You're not, he said, voice low. You say that. You're not, he said again. You're my reason. She blinked. Once. He stepped closer. Slow. You are not what breaks me. You are what keeps me from burning everything down. Elena stood. They were too close now. She felt his breath. He felt her pain. She whispered, I don't want to be a burden. You're not. I don't want to be used. You won't be. I don't want to fall for someone who scares me. He lifted a hand, brushed a curl from her cheek. Then let me show you I can be more than that. She didn't answer. Not with words. Her eyes closed. Her lips parted. And when he kissed her, it wasn't soft. It wasn't clean. It was broken and deep and full of everything they hadn't said. Her hands clutched his collar. His arms wrapped around her like armor. The world vanished. And for the first time since that alley, she didn't feel like something broken. She felt like something burning. When they pulled apart, her voice came small. Don't lie to me. Never. If I stay, this becomes real. It already is. She touched his chest. His heart beat under her palm. I don't know what's happening to me. I do, he said. You're becoming someone no one can touch. That night, Luca stood in the council room. Every captain was present. The air was fire. Luca placed both hands on the table. No more warnings. No one blinked. No more passes. No more peace. He stared each man in the eye. I want every business touched by Calderon leveled. Every street. Every asset. Every rat. One captain leaned forward. And Elena? She stays. She's a target now. She's mine. They didn't argue. Because when Luca spoke like that, only fools argued. The house grew colder after that. Steel replaced wood. Men in black suits patrolled every floor. The garden was locked. The gates were chained. and Elena's world shrank into polished floors and whispered orders. But she didn't run. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She trained. She learned names. She watched. And one day she stood beside Luca in the war room. He looked at her like a promise. She looked back like a vow. He reached for her hand, held it tight, then whispered, "You stay." And she answered, "I stay." Because love wasn't supposed to look like this. But it did. And she had stopped wishing for normal a long time ago. The city did not sleep that night. It held its breath. And beneath its blinking lights and quiet windows, blood was moving. Not on the streets. Not in front of cameras. Not for show. This was the kind of war that didn't leave evidence behind. Only silence. One by one, Calderon's clubs shut down. One by one, his men disappeared. No gunfire. No explosions. Just absence. Just ghosts. Every back alley whispered the same warning. You touched De Rossi's girl. Now you will disappear like you never existed. Inside the mansion, the night passed slow. Elena walked barefoot through the halls, moonlight painting soft silver lines across the marble. She didn't need to ask what was happening. She could feel it. It was in the air. Heavy. Hot. Final. Luca had ordered the purge at midnight. By 2 a.m., half of the Calderon network was gone. By 4, their strongest lieutenants had surrendered. And by dawn, they begged. For mercy. For forgiveness. For their lives. But Luca gave them none of those things. He gave them only silence. Elena stood in the tower room as the sun cracked the sky. The city stretched out before her like a beast that had finally bowed its head. She pressed her palms to the glass. Below her, the guards still stood watch. But something had changed. The threat was gone. The fear was different now. Quieter. And yet somehow heavier. She heard his footsteps before she saw him. Luca entered the room without a word. His coat was off. His sleeves rolled. His knuckles red. He looked tired, but not weak. He walked to her side and stood. They didn't speak at first. They just watched the morning light crawl across the rooftops. Then finally he asked, "Are you still afraid of me?" His voice was soft. It had no edges, no threat, just truth. Elena looked at him, and she didn't need time to answer. No. His shoulders dropped, just a little. Not in defeat, in relief. "I thought you might be," he said. "I was," she whispered. "But not anymore." He turned to face her fully. She didn't flinch. "Why not?" "Because now I see it." "See what?" She stepped closer. Her fingertips brushed his. "You're not the monster they say you are." He tilted his head. "You sure?" "You're worse," she smiled. And then softer. "But only when you need to be." He didn't deny it, because he knew it was true. She walked across the room, slow, then stopped near the wide terrace doors. The breeze smelled like wet stone and clean sky. She turned. "I want to stay." The words were clear. Luca's eyes didn't move. "But I won't be hidden," she said. "I won't be a secret, or a burden, or something you keep in a room and protect like a piece of glass." His jaw twitched. "I want to stand beside you." "You don't know what that means." "I do." He stepped forward. "You want power. I want choice. You have it. I want truth. You'll get it. I want your respect. You already have it." Elena exhaled slow. "This world of yours kills people." "I know. It's built on fear." "Yes. And you think I can live inside it?" "I think you already are." She looked away. Her voice came quiet. "I used to want a normal life. You still can." "No." She shook her head. "I don't think I was made for normal." She walked to him, stood on her toes, and whispered in his ear, I think I was made for this. Luca's breath caught. She stepped back. His voice was gravel. Then you stay. But not behind you, she said. Beside. He nodded. Beside me. Later that morning, Luca walked through the great hall with Elena at his side. His men stood as they passed. Not just because of him, but because of her. She didn't flinch. She didn't look away. Her chin was lifted, her shoulders strong. She wasn't the same girl who bled on the pavement. She wasn't the same girl who cried in his arms. She was something sharper now, something stronger, and everyone could see it. Luca led her into the meeting room, the same room where Calderon's name had been carved into the wood of every sentence. He pulled out a chair. Elena sat, no hesitation. Then Luca turned to his men. She stays. They nodded. She listens. They agreed. She speaks. They waited. She speaks as my equal. That night the city did not scream. It whispered. Whispered of the girl no one knew. The girl who wore bruises like armor. The girl who made the devil kneel. The girl who did not disappear after being broken. Elena Márquez was no longer a waitress in a diner. She was the reason men ran. The reason monsters slept with their eyes open. The reason Luca De Rossi did not burn the city down. Because he had something more valuable than power now. He had her. And the city would never touch her again. Not without bleeding for it. At midnight, Luca found her on the roof. She wore his coat. She was staring at the sky. You're not sleeping, he said. I don't need to, she replied. Why not? I feel awake for the first time in my life. He walked to her side, stood in silence, then spoke. You scare me. She smiled. Good. He turned. She looked up at him. I'm not the girl you first saw. I know. I'm not the girl you carried out of the street. I know. I'm not soft anymore. You never were. She stepped into him, rested her head against his chest. He held her close, and whispered, By dawn, they begged for mercy. I know, she said, but I didn't. No, he smiled. You didn't.
Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end of this story. If you enjoyed this story, I promise you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more thrilling as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.